Okay, Noel. Oh, oh, there he's there. Okay. Mason rolled in. No Austin. Where's Austin? No Austin. You two are junkies.
But we have to make it through a 12-hour day.
Hey, what do you do? Oh, I just finished the attendance, dude.
Sorry, I zoned out a guy here that's over.
But what are you guys gonna do when you get old? Like your blood pressure goes up, and then you can't have caffeine anymore.
Oh my God.
Go take it.
Green tea.
Huh?
Green tea.
Oh, I love green tea. Have you ever had Quick Trip green tea? Oh,
I like breakfast.
yeah, but Brandco costs like $1,000 for stuff. I'm more the cheap guy.
I like Arizona green tea.
That's good.
If you can.
Yeah, I can see.
Oh, I thought you were showing me your AirPod case.
It is.
Oh. Okay. All right. Pretty easy day, and we got a really easy day tomorrow because we're not going to be in here. We're going to be watching a movie. By the way, pay attention because we're not very far away from talking about that. And by the way, guys, if your advisory teacher has a holiday, what do you need?
You lost Star? Yeah.
Hey,
No, she went to.
no, they was taking off children. Take it out.
There's a whole school. She'll never find it. You'll find her one.
Oh my God.
That's Star.
All right, okay. If your advisory teacher has not taken the time to talk to you about movie Till that you'll be seeing tomorrow, it's an amazing movie, but it's an amazingly hard movie to watch. Has anybody seen it already? Were you still working around this? We came out, so I know as a parent when I watched when she goes in to see her son for the first time after he's been killed, it just tears me apart. But it makes a good point, and she made him a civil rights martyr by bringing TV cameras in, by having an open casket funeral, letting the world see what was done to him. It speeded up a lot of things, and like I said, it's rough, but it's something you need to. I mean, I put it up there with Schindler's List, all movies that you don't really want to watch, but you need to watch kind of things. I mean, because it's hard, but it's worth it. So, just be prepared. If they're cheap, your advisory teachers, but be prepared for that. Okay, I'm going to talk for a hot minute, and then you guys got an assignment. It's not going to take that long, but I'm going to give you the rest of the hour, so basically you can get caught up and done with everything. I think all my stragglers are going to be. All right, okay. Okay. All right. See, this is what sucks when I don't divide it up by section. I have to go back and do this. Okay. Now, these are recruitment posters. Remember what I told you. Did the government draft African American men in World War I?
Oh no.
Yet they have recruitment posters. Now, when you had people who served, how were they treated? Awful. They were given basically slave labor jobs. They dug trenches, they dug. Now, I don't know if I got to this in your class because I know we went over a little bit of stuff. So, by the way, make sure you submit the movie questions. If you don't have the down, get the answers from somebody else and give us a yes week. Yeah, just give them. If not, if you only miss a couple, just come up and see me out.
Or miss the first half of the class.
Oh, okay. Okay. On sometimes, right? So I look at this. He usually has a high F in here. Okay. All right. Now, but yet they're still recruiting them. They're calling upon their patriotism. And when these men do respond with great patriotism, Noble Sissel and his band basically recruit hundreds of thousands of men from the New York area, and they become world famous. So Harlem Hellfighters, and then you get, remember Private Johnson, the guy who basically killed 12 German soldiers by himself? What happens to him when he returns home? He gets killed for wearing his uniform, for being an uppity, is what the people down there call him.
Did they think he was impersonating someone else?
No, they just, he had the audacity to think that, he was as good as, and the sad thing is I'm not saying race was great in Arkansas because you're going to learn about the 1950s Little Rock Nine, but it wasn't like it was Mississippi. I mean, when you guys watch Till, you're going to realize, is there racism in America? Yes. Is Mississippi a whole nother thing? Yeah. I'll tell you a story after we get done with this. I'll tell you a story about Mississippi that opened my eyes from a former student. Okay, now what's happening? Here's the thing. Basically, after the Industrial Revolution, we have cause to go and build everything. Now, the one thing I don't like about this chapter is they talk about Henry Ford after World War I. Guess what? Henry Ford was before World War I because the Model T been invented by now? Had the assembly line been invented by now? Because it's Henry Ford that helps America make a buttload of money during World War I. They take those assembly lines for cars where they got the guys walking down, and your job would just be, okay, you put the wheels on. Josiah's going to put the steering wheel on. You're going to put the bumper on. I don't know what. But you put it together, and then one guy does the basics on there, screwing everything together, all that stuff. What used to take 2 months to build a car, they can do it in 10 minutes. Now, if you ever see Model T, there's not a whole lot of parts. Yeah. It's not like you're going to get a check engine on one of those suckers. It was real simple. You went up, they didn't even have the ignition. You had to crank the sucker up, and that would give you the spark that would create the big spark plugs going and all that. So it was pretty minimal. But they turned this around into war machines. They start rolling planes out. They start rolling tanks out. And we are mass producing, and we are able to give the British and the French all kinds of weapons that they need. We do it with guns. We even do it with ships, which was pretty impressive. All right, and here you see the patriotic guys. Okay, you got the sailor, you got the army guy, and then you got the worker in between. That looks like a really kind of creepy picture, but hey, it's supposed to make you feel patriotic. And what do we see here in this picture? Women working. Women are going to go to the workplace. They're going to have a career. Now, also what happens at the end of World War I? Women get the right to vote, 19th Amendment. Women are going to start to feel empowered, and they're not going to want to go back to the way things are. We'll really get into that when we get to the Roaring 20s, when we start talking about flappers. Okay, you heard this in the thing, food will win the war. Basically, what they were saying is, okay, we need to cut back just a little bit. Like on Monday, don't eat meat. On Friday, don't eat flour. I can't remember that it was like meat Monday, flour Friday. I don't know, but you just cut out one thing, and you save a little bit of that, and you and then we'd help feed the troops over in Europe. Oh, Wheatless Wednesdays, yeah, Porkless days, yeah. Those. Now, here's the thing. Most people did that out of patriotic duty, but let's say you don't want to do it. You're like, okay, on site, it's Monday. I got a big fat steak in my refrigerator. He gets up and he starts grilling up that big fat steak. And then Josiah is his neighbor. He doesn't really like on anyway. So he smells that big old steak. He's like, hey, he's being unpatriotic. Instead of just going over to say something, he alerts different people. All of a sudden, Tom's got this mob outside his house. People were getting beat up because they didn't agree. I mean, well, that's okay. If you haven't noticed, I don't like Woodrow Wilson. He's a racist a-hole. Now, I will say that he did good things during the war. I mean, his whole idea of fighting for a better world, I like all that. I would have liked that he would have looked at his own country and said, hey, maybe women need the right to vote, just like they have over in Europe. Hey, maybe African Americans need the same rights as everybody else. That never registered to him. But when he does these things that are for the good, he does them in a legal way, and that's what you need to understand. They basically, if you had a problem with war, you couldn't say it. He would get you arrested. If you were a Quaker, you couldn't serve in the war because your religion, you got to be a pacifist and you can't fight. You can't do it. So if Austin's a Quaker and they drafted him in service, what they did is they literally would take you, and if you refused to put on your uniform, they would arrest you, put you in a cell in Leavenworth, Kansas, and people in the wintertime would literally stand naked in a cell. You've ever been in a full stone room? That's the temperature you leave there. Kind of like a meat locker, right? It's what Miss Adams thinks is death because it's so cold. And these guys literally died of hypothermia because they refused to put on their uniform. And they weren't being jerk. They weren't talking openly out against the war. They're just saying, look, this is my religion. And what Wilson does during the First Amendment, and this is another thing why I hate the guy, there was an assault on the First Amendment. Of our rights, the things that were most important to our founding fathers, don't you think they put those all in the First Amendment? Freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of the press. Those are all pretty important. And he pretty much just took a big old crap on it. In the name of patriotism. Now this is my opinion. All right, okay. And what you saw is a lot of propaganda where people were making fun of, basically, we're getting racist. Now, German people were getting basically beat up in the streets, especially if they said, maybe President Wilson isn't right. This is why I know when my family, my mom's family, changed their names from Hayhurst, which was a very German spelling. It was H-A-E, the E with the two dots over it, and then an H-U-R-S-T to the English spelling of just Hurst, H-E-A-R-S-T. And that, because they were getting messed with. Okay, if you're a good patriot, you go out and grow your own food so we don't have to use the food that the farmers get and send it over to the troops. And you get the idea. Save on gasoline. Yeah, here we go. 4-minute man. This is going to be on your test. Don't forget, these are the guys who basically would go in. If you went to a movie, Josiah can appreciate this. Because he actually used to work there. Actually, he didn't ever have film. It was all digital when you got there with it. Back when they actually had film, the movie came on reels. And before they figured out how to time them up to where it wasn't a break the movie, every 20 minutes, the movie would stop. Now, they used it to their advantage. They would say more popcorn. But what they would do is have these guys come out and give patriotic speeches in between reels. Okay, propaganda. Okay, Uncle Sam's gonna kick some butt here. Army wants you. Buy Liberty loans so the government has money. And here's the thing. the United States government made a buttload when we went into World War I. I think we owed about $3 million of national debt. We came out with other countries owing us over $13 million. Sorry, billion. Change those ends to a B. All right, here's our troops out there. And if you notice, completely segregated, all white troops were in one division, all African Americans were in other divisions. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, Germany surrenders. Now, remember, I want you to think, okay, On and Josiah are fighting. They're really, really tired. They've been fighting for, let's say you're boxing, you're in the 15th round. What the United States was is basically, okay, Malik in the 15th round changes out with On, comes in, and Josiah's just, and Malik comes in and just beating the crap out of him. And then Josiah loses because somebody new comes in. Does that make sense? It's not that we were a great military presence, but we were fresh, we had supplies, and we were ready to roll. And Germany was like, this one was just kind of like, huh. All right. But we end up the most powerful country in the world. And here's the other thing. Look at this. Austria-Hungary, remember, Austria-Hungary and Germany are on one side. That's a buttload of casualties, isn't it? Russia they got a lot of people killed because they were just flat out stupid. When the Germans sat there with machine guns, they just kept charging people at them. That's kind of why Russia rebelled and had a revolution. Because at the time Russia went into the revolution, each Russian soldier was allowed 3 bullets a day. Because supplies were so bad, a lot of those soldiers, instead of going up and chasing after machine guns, decided, 3 bullets, I'm going to use one of them on my commanding officer so it doesn't make me charge up that hill. Now look down here. Do we have any casualties? No. Matter of fact, we didn't lose. I mean, this sounds terrible saying, but we lost less than 120,000 men. Comparatively speaking, that was like crazy low.
Did we talk about this last year?
Yeah. But we talked about it from the European point of view.
Like how Germany they're blamed for everything else.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for setting me up. Now, okay. We already talked about women getting jobs, Total War, people. Here's oh gosh, I just totally blinked her name. And the woman who basically pushed behind getting the women the right to vote. She basically went out. Not only did she protest the war, she protested Wilson. She started calling Kaiser Wilson because he was acting like a dictator. Well, I think you could drop the tater, is what she thought. But thank you for picking that one up. Okay. But basically, everything was be patriotic, join the war cause, or now, look, when it says 367 were drafted, yes, I will say, in a sense they were drafted. They were never given military uniforms. They were put into certain units over here where they basically worked to replace soldiers who left. Does that make sense? So, in my mind, they didn't draft soldiers because these men were never trained as soldiers. Okay. And we have the big communism sticker because Lenin said, hey, we're going to change the whole world to be communist. They'd taken over Russia by this point. Everybody freaks out. And then you had Eugene Debs, who's a big socialist, who thought, hey, this is awesome. The workers were running everything. They didn't realize it was a bloodbath over there. They were killing people who disagreed with them. So we worried about the spread of communism in the United States. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Charles Schenick, I can never say his guy's name. Schenick. What nationality do you think his name is? Sounds very German, doesn't it? He argued against in the Supreme Court that he wasn't given the right to freedom of speech because he disagreed, and he was putting out pamphlets saying the war is not a good thing. The Supreme Court comes down with a very one-sided ruling saying, "Hey, we agree with the president. You shouldn't be able to say this because this is against the Constitution," and it creates a clear and present danger. Now, if you don't know what a clear and present danger is, okay, Miranda goes into the movie theater. She waits till she gets there about 5 minutes after the movie starts. She gets her concessions, and now the previews are over. And she gets her normal good season ticket. She wants good seats, so she looks around. Nobody's looking at her. She sets her popcorn down, sets her soda down, and yells, "Fire!" Everybody goes flying out of the building. She goes and sits down wherever she wants to sit and goes and watches the movie. Can you yell fire in a private place? Can people get hurt when that happens? Because no matter what happens, I don't know if you've ever had to evacuate an auditorium, but when you go into an auditorium and tell people, "Hey, we need you to guys walk out slowly and cautiously," do they ever do that? They go flying out and try to kill each other.
So that's the law. You can't do something like
Oh, you can't. If you put somebody in danger. There was when I was a little kid back in the 1970s, there was a big concert in Cincinnati. They used to have these big stadium concerts where you would just pay $5, and when you got there early, you could get whatever seat you got. Well, because they were trying to save money, they only opened up 2 gates, and you got all these people waiting to get there. They got this like 3 hours before, and somebody yelled out, "They're opening the gates!" So people in the back hear this, and they start pushing forward. Well, the gates had been open, and literally people got smashed up against the gates. Finally, the gates gave way, broke down, and people got trapped in that. I think there were 25 people that got trapped in that. And half the people didn't know until after the concert was over. Because they're afraid of canceling the concert, or they might start a riot. Because you have a lot of high, drunk people, it's never a good combination. Okay. Basically, Margie Hardy runs for election because Wilson's terms are up. To America First, screw you, we're going to get out of this. It's a very xenophobic. He didn't want new immigrants coming in, basically. And this guy's a hot mess too, but he ends up dying, so I don't hate him very much. Now, World War I's different from every other war. Mass destruction, lots of dead people. I don't know if you can see all this white up here, but those are all crosses for graves. 22 million soldiers and civilians dead. You have a problem in this war that you've never had before. You have people who survived because medical science has gotten better. This guy's face is half gone. These guys don't have legs or arms. And that's kind of a problem nowadays in our wars, isn't it? Soldiers are coming back from Afghanistan and Iraq. And because medical science can keep them alive, I don't know what kind of quality of life we were talking about. Okay, now, look at this pretty little village before the war. Yeah. For the first time in war, civilian sites are taken out. And this is a total change. Used to be like at the time of the Civil War. If you wanted to take a picnic, lunch out, and go and sit and watch the North and the South fight, you'd go sit on the side and eat your sandwich. Hey, cheer for your side. Nobody's going to touch you. You're a civilian. That totally changed. Okay. Verdun was the area that was torn up the most in France. They fought there for a total of like 350 days. Yeah, there's the same hotel. You get the idea. Now, the Germans know that the British and the French hate them and they want to destroy them. So they tell Wilson, "Hey, we want to surrender, but we're going to surrender to you, not to them. Because Wilson didn't want to beat them up as bad as and Wilson takes this power trip to his head, and he's like, okay, we're going to do the 14 points, which we'll get into in a minute. I'm not going to go over it now because you're going to go over it. We're going to go over it on Monday. I totally forgot we had that movie day tomorrow because I totally forgot. Now, the big four, you got Wilson, you got Clemenceau. I don't know why we invited the Italian prime minister. Don't you remember they were on one side and then switch sides? But then David Lloyd George of Britain. Now, these two guys had lost a lot. Their countries have lost a lot. They want to barbecue Germany. That's why Germany went to Wilson. And the Treaty of Versailles is signed in the House of Versailles. There's been so many peace treaties signed in the This is where we ended the Revolutionary War. But basically, it creates a League of Nations. That's the one thing that they made sure that Wilson got was the League of Nations. Even though the United States did not join, you can see a lot of things changes. Like, if you see all the countries before the war, especially the ones that lost, so you got the Ottoman Empire, you got Bulgaria, you got the Austrian-Hungarian Empire, and you've got Germany. Germany shrinks massively. Austria is cut down to about an eighth of its size. Poland, Czechoslovakia, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Finland, Yugoslavia, and the Ottoman Empire becomes Iraq, Syria, Iran, Transjordan, Palestine, and Lebanon. And then all of the German colonies that they had were divided between England and France. Oh, here's the big one. This is what Malik was talking about. Germany was forced to pay $33 billion in war reparations to England and France. Now, basically what this means, An and I get in a fight. An beats me up. Not only does he beat me up, now I have to pay him money. Yes, a lot of money, and it humiliates Germany. And who does this allow to come to power? Adolf Schicklgruber. That's his real name. Schicklgruber. I would change my name to him. Well, I wouldn't now because that's Janssen. But it's better than Schicklgruber. You like Schicklgruber? Okay. So you're ranking Schicklgruber for now on? Okay. Okay. All right, we're done. Now, what I need you guys to do, and you can do this in partners, and this is all you need to do for the rest of the day. There's only one assignment. Look how nice I've been to you guys. You've had one assignment there and one assignment here. Okay. Basically, you pull this up, and it talks about, you read this, and then you answer it. You read this, and you answer it. It's not hard. Okay? I think there's a total of 14 questions. So work in groups, make your life easy, and share your answers, and then turn it in. Yeah.
Just like 30-point thing from the episode 2, I hear.
That's what I was talking about before. If you need all the answers, just get them from somebody else. That's why I'm also giving you time to get that done. Look, one other thing, look at me real quick. Don't submit this. Keep the tab open, or don't hit submit. We will go over it on Monday. Therefore, you can have the right answers. Okay. And like Malik, like I told Miranda, if you can't find somebody to give you the answers on that other thing, just ask me and then you can.
Yeah, episode 2.
What?
Yeah, episode 2.
Yeah.
I think by Monday, if your canvas death is idle for so long enough.
What?
I think by Monday, if your canvas is idle for long enough, like over weeks,
It will.
yeah.
Oh,
If you come to me, we can make it.
yeah. I checked the box rating for something. What? What's that?
Where is that?
Uh,
Go down.
okay. You know how to get Six Flags? Okay. Do you know where, are you driving yet?
Kind of.
Okay. Okay, when you go, you know where Steak and Chicken is? You know,
Which one?
Rock Hill Road? Oh, you're killing me, Smalls. You know where Lutheran South is? Wow.
I know we're.
Okay, do you know where Webster football field is, and that little school that's right there on Highway 44? You are killing me, Smalls.
Just go on the Google map.
Okay, look.
I did have doorway.
Okay,
You
okay,
don't know where it is.
okay. Do you know where Starbucks is?
The grass one?
Yeah. Okay, that's Gravois, and on this side is Chestnut Ferry, then becomes Rock Hill. Okay, you know what that is? You take Rock Hill and go past, go down, you know how it goes by the little cemetery there?
Yeah.
Okay, keep going on that, then you go down that big hill, and then you cross Watson Road, and then Steak and Shake's right across the street from that. But you stay on that, you stay on Elm, and you keep going up, and eventually that will run into a highway. It's a little bridge. You get on that highway and you go to the west, which is where the sun sets. You go up there, you go past 270, which is another big highway, and then you'll see this place where there's a lot of roller coasters. It's called Six Flags.
I
Okay?
know that's in Eureka.
Okay. Well, keep going like 4 more exits, and then you'll hit St. Clair. Yeah.
I know.
That's over.
You're gonna hear the dueling banjos.
I don't know River Repair and.
River to Pooh?
Who?
Wow.
You do not know.
You have to start driving, you're not driving, right?
I am, I have my permit.
Oh, no, permit. Like, okay, most people don't know street names until they start driving.
I still don't know. My parents have to give me directions, not street names.
Hey, that's hey.
Mason.
I don't know.
That was thinking about it. They would like,
Siri.
he was bothering me, like, I'm trying to stay with my sister, like, you like that, right? She handed it to the three guys, you know, memorize that, one, you know, he did it. So after that, I didn't have to worry about the safety part, because he was like, Google Maps, you know? It's like a choking.
I know you do.
You know, we were making fun of you, Star, at the at the Windsor meet. We said, you know, if you and Edric had a child, it'd be the end person. And we felt sorry for you that you'd be married to Edric. What? Yes, because you need all the food.
Oh, let's kill it.
Hey, hey. Don't you agree more on that? Sorry, kids are gonna die, and still eat all the food.
What time do you go to the grocery store?
What? But you guys will be back in San Virginia, right? You will. What? There's girls' district, yes. Not boys' district. Yeah. He'll tell you exactly. But I'd say 5:45. I just wanted to get the van because then we wouldn't have to worry about, because the bus they have regulators on them that won't let them go over 55 miles an hour. You saw how fast I was driving the van. We would make it there in half the time. Well, they can be, but then if like a state inspector comes in and that they find that we're in deep doo-doo.
Yeah.
Well, what?
You take them in?
I asked if they wanted us to take the van and they said no.
Why?
Well, okay, last night we had to share a bus. They don't have enough bus drivers. They complain about not having enough bus drivers. So I tried to do something to help them out. Say, look, I'll go down there early, get the van, and, you know. And it, okay, if we have it Friday night, it just makes sense. I could literally pick you guys up at your house, and then we could go since I know where all of you live now.
I heard we lost pretty bad.
Oh, yeah.
I heard like,
Oh, hey, Cruz got his first win.
Really?
It was hysterical. Hey, they were both. Okay, I'm not trying to be mean here because I'm a fat guy. But you know how fat guys sweat a lot more. They were both like flying, weren't they? They're just like.
That's how it is with the rest of
He almost blew it. Like he was up by like 8, and we're all like, "Well, he's gonna blow it." You know, we got put on the back twice. But luckily, he went the whole year, the whole 3 periods. He got medal. It was all right. And then Nino stuff. That was our old. No, just that they got
and was that against, like, what's that science?
yeah, we destroyed them earlier.
My friend is on that team, and he was telling me all about it.
He got solved. He almost broke his ankle again.
Yeah.
When that kid, well, not on track, he goes, ankle twisted. Remember that guy that did like, twisted my ankle? He did it twice, so Cruz just freaked out. I was like, wow.
My friend.
Oh, okay, we're happy. I remember. I got really good. You guys did really good. You just. Whenever I remember really well, I remember in between ones, I'll never forget. Like if we went close, why you give me the stick?
Sorry, remember mine?
Yes, I remember how mad you were. You guys are laughing. I can't hear you. You guys are. Well, we were putting. Those weren't made up. Made up. No, made up. Merton Russell, 220. And he was actually wrestling pretty good. But he just gave us strength. We had an Amar Russell. Amar's a big wrestler. So since Tristan was out, he was fun. Him up.
Okay, you also did.
Because he can't do it. If Amar was ever wrestled, and he's dead by the end of the feet are like one so. And we're just
I run a, it's just me and the other girl pressing on the foreheads together, really hard.
was your forehead really flat?
Yes.
Well, that's it. Cruz, I don't know why they were tied because they were tied up the whole time.
It's a lot of.
No. I mean, he was just a white person. He was funny because they looked like all he did, like half an hour.
I've always done it.
What?
You don't usually last half of
No, he was. Hang on just a second. I'll put- Yes, I know. It's, I gotta go back. I just put the answer back. I didn't put it right because
It's in a place that bigger.
Actually, Nate Stevens did Brad.
Look, Nate isn't going to district. He's like,
No, he won't. This is bad. Oh, Mark wrestled. This dude was thick. He broke Mark out.
But
oh, which match you?
So Mary's got some pretty good.
Daniel got attacked.
My friend's the captain of Gateway's Islands team, and he described to me all that.
Really? Oh, wait.
He's like,
Yeah, look at Mark's feet.
this always stays like this. He sounds like a steam engine when he was.
he loves going on.
I get uncomfortable wrestling.
Okay, here we go. It's like he was wrestling his white twin.
This is super wrestling right
Go chill. Who's not wrestling?
D. Cruz. His first real win.
here. Oh, God, I'm pushing now.
No, he didn't let him go. He chose not to follow him.